Mi gente, you already know who it is. It's the radioactive pop with Danny Limelight, United Wrestling Network World Heavyweight Champion. And make sure you tune into the Alliance blog every week. You heard it here first. Straight from Bobby.
We are in a new era for the NWA. We have new champions, we have new sets, we have new production values and things that, well, this ain't your mom and dad's old NWA, daddy. Anyways, we've been doing things a bit differently here at the Alliance Blog podcast. I try not to go super long on these episodes. You know, I know time is of the essence. And because this is an audio podcast, you can kind of come and go as you please, but I like to keep the topics briefer than they used to be. But this, I felt like, deserved some time for DKM, Jaden, and myself to talk about this new era of NWA Power and this new episode of Power. So you kind of have a good idea of at least where the Alliance guys stand when it comes to the at least the latest episode of Power. So without any further ado, stand by for our thoughts on Power after this. Times are tough now, guys, and it's no joke out here. That's why I'm very proud to be partnering with the Upside app. They're leveling the playing field, guys. They're giving you opportunities to earn cash back on purchases for groceries, purchases for gasoline, purchases for food. These are the things we all spend our money on all the time. I believe in Upside. I use Upside weekly. My lifetime earnings is over $408, and you too can be earning cash back on your fill-ups, your groceries, or your eating out experiences just by signing up, and it's free. By using my invite code JASON75338, that's Jason 753338, you'll earn $5 cash back on your first fill-up. Use the link in the video description or download the app, but make sure you use that invite code JASON753338 and make money by using the Upside app. So first we start off with Max the Impaler defending their television championship against Taylor Rising. We saw Taylor Rising make her debut for the NWA at 75, and she had a match against Natalia Markova on night number 2. This match starts off exactly how it should. Brutality and violence and everything that's right with Max the Impaler as they step into the ring and inflict pain. This is exactly what I want to see from the non-binary version of Big Van Vader. This match went way too long for me. I felt like Tara got far too much offense. I did feel like she did a great job of looking terrified throughout the match. She looked like she was scared to be in the ring with Max. And even though the offense that she did get, very little momentum came from it. And eventually Max gets the victory when she popped their own version. Man, I'm not doing well today. Popped their own version of the popping the trunk. She connects with it, gets the 3 count, and then hits Taylor again. That brings Markova out, and Joe Galli announces that Markova is Max's biggest rival in the NWA. And at first I thought, were they really rivals? Did we get a lot of Max versus Markova? But then I remember at Hard Times 3, the casket match that had almost zero build to it was really the only time that Max has been challenged in the ring. So I thought it was a good match. Jaden, I know you were watching the show for the first time in a long time. What were your thoughts on this?
I'm not impressed with Max. Max wasn't mobile enough. Max needs to be more of a locomotive and less of a Dusty Rhodes stand in the ring and let everybody come to them.
That's fair.
I think the size was fine, and the match did go too long, and I do think the other girl had too much offense. Should have been, honestly, a squash.
Yes.
But Max just wasn't mobile enough. I want more freight train running over a victim than somebody running into a brick wall. And I think that's what it was. It was somebody running into a brick wall instead of a brick wall running over them.
Yeah.
DK.
Oh, shit. Is that a Commodore
Yes.
64?
No, that's a TRS-80.
All right. What did you think of the match?
Dual hard drive, though. That was top of the line.
Dual floppy drive.
Yes.
And yes, that when that came out, if you had 2 floppy drives, that meant you were a serious computer file. You probably did programming. So what was your question, Jay?
What did you think of the match?
Too long. All right. Yeah. I mean, it was all right, but it was too long.
Okay. The Maxosaurus. That's what Luke has said, the Maxosaurus. All right, let's get back to more wrestling. We got the promo for, say, Saul Win. Sorry, I'm gonna screw that up for the next 6 months. We got that promo set up. I thought it was decent enough. I mean, that's the kind of guy you want, Sinister Minister. You want him to, be the voice of your spooky pay-per-view. And I thought he did a good job. Any thoughts on the promo, DK or Jaden?
I like the promo. I like the video. I mean, the voice. I think they don't need to be put on Sinister Minister. Not that there's anything wrong with him, but I think his voice would have done better if they would have showed more destructive action. This most destructive pay-per-view in NWA or whatever the hyperbole is. I think it would have been better if they would have showed some destruction and let that action show what's happening while the Sinister Minister James Mitchell was able to verbally describe what was going to happen. I think that would have been better. DK?
Yeah, I mean, actually, Jaden stole almost my entire thought. Next.
Okay. Next.
Okay, next we have the promo with Kyle Davis up at the podium behind that nicely lit screen with BFT. That is, of course, Blunt Force Trauma, Carnage and Damage. I heard somebody once compare Stevens to Bobby the Brain Heenan. And I get where they were trying to go with this, in that Stevens is a multifaceted player. He could be a wrestler. He could be a promo guy. He could be a manager. He could be a commentator. I really feel that he is very versatile for the roster. But I just, as a manager, I don't see him as Bobby the Brain Heenan. I see him more like Jimmy Hart. I think Tim put that thought in my head. He's always bouncing around. He's running around like a lunatic. And sometimes it's distracting from the point he's trying to make. And his promos tend to do that as well. I feel like that promo with Blunt Force Trauma, like, he said so much without saying anything at all. And that's kind of what his hallmark has been with his promos in the NWA. I didn't really care for it. What'd you guys think? Jaden?
I hated the background and the way it was looking. I hated that very late 80s, early 90s look of the moving background. It reminded me of like the screen in Windows 98 when you would, you let it rest, the whatever. I just didn't like that. Aaron Stevens reminds me of a parody of a 1990 mid-90s vampire movie.
Yeah.
I guess it was his look or whatever, just reminding me of something you expect to see in a parody version of a 1990s vampire. Blunt Force Trauma looked good in just standing there and doing nothing. And I guess that's the important thing. I don't mind the manager as much a role of him. He's definitely not Bobby Heenan. I'm not even sure if I would say he's Jimmy Hart, because he doesn't quite have the same verbal energy that Jimmy Hart does, or the annoying high-pitched voice.
Come on, baby. One more time, baby.
But it was okay. At least they're doing something to get personality over, So not everything you're going to do is going to be a success, but it's only going to be a success if you try it. Right. And I think they were just trying something. DK?
Stevens does a better job putting himself over than he does the team. And I feel like that's a weakness. Overall, I didn't think much of it one way or the other. And, like Jaden said, the champions look good just standing there. And, of course, every time I think of them, I sit there and think if they didn't have the mask on, they would never be in this position. And that's kind of sad.
Yeah, that is kind of sad.
I mean, even though we know who they are, it's just,
is that fair?
No, it's not fair in the greater scheme in that, when Harley Race once wrestled under a different name and his dad goes, "Why are you making somebody else famous?" I mean, look, we all know it's Mark Shea Rocket. We all know it's Rodney Mack. And those are people who should be getting credit for, being the World Tag Team Champions. Not a team that I'll call Doom 2.0 because that's what they remind me of.
Since they are Doom 2.0, though, it does kind of bring up one point that somewhat says your statement, but also changes it around a little bit. Ron Simmons and Butch Reed at the NWA weren't doing anything at the time when they were put under the mask as Doom. And while everybody and their mother knew that it was Doom, because there's only two people at the time in wrestling business that look like that, and they're both in the ring under masks. Once they took the masks off, it really built them up. Maybe that's what needs to happen now. They get away from Aaron Stevens, take the mask off, and really move themselves up the card.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I wouldn't hate it if down the road that's what happens too. What did you guys think of the new broadcaster, Sam? Hello?
I guess that this is our opinion, right? I don't remember them. I'm trying to remember them, and I don't have any memory at all.
She's from MLW. Samsung. I can't think of her last name right now.
Samsung?
I couldn't hear her that well. I could hear the wrestlers better than I could hear her. I don't know. I think by this point I've gotten used to May, so it was just some adjusting. I didn't hate her. Sam
Laterna, that's her name.
I didn't even realize it was another girl interviewing, so that shows you how much I must have paid attention to that.
Anyways, so our pals over at the other guys, Dave Scooby kind of mentioned that Sam was kind of like just a microphone holder, where she didn't interject a lot of her own personality, which is the opposite of May. Obviously, May has kind of like a gimmick. But anyways, the promo, she did a I'm skipping ahead. We'll get back to that in a minute. The next match was the Immortals versus the Outrunners. Now, I agree with Jaden. I still think that they should have been called the Gods of War, because the Immortals just, I don't know. You're not immortal. Hulk Hogan was immortal. This was a good old-fashioned ass whooping, if you ask me. The fans initially booed the Immortals when they came out, but things changed very quickly during the match. One of the things I didn't like about it is I felt Turbo played way too much to the crowd. And when his partner was getting smashed by Kratos, he's out there like, jaw-jacking with the audience. I'm like, bro, your dude's getting killed over there. Maybe you should pay attention to the ring.
An audience we couldn't see.
Yeah, yes, an audience you couldn't see. But outside of that, this match was exactly what you'd think it would be. I think exactly what it needed to be was a statement match for Odinson and Kratos. They get the victory when Odinson connects with that European uppercut to the back. They called it an unprotected European shot. But aren't all those uppercuts unprotected? Am I missing something? DK, what did you think of the match?
It was a good enhancement match. How's that for a statement?
Yeah, I mean, that's what it was supposed to be, right?
Yeah, it was what it was. It was good at what it was. I didn't have a problem with it.
Jaden, this is probably the first time you've seen the Outrunners. What did you think?
They were okay. They got some good size on them. Their trunks, I think, are a little distracting. They do have a little bit of ability. They got their butt kicked well. I think the thing that most annoyed me in this match is the match that felt most fake not necessarily because what's in the ring. It's just because the audience didn't feel like it's really there. It didn't feel like, it felt more like somebody doing a television show on professional wrestling and not a professional wrestling television show.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, that's one of my complaints about Hollywood. It has a similar feeling to it. It just didn't feel like it was a real competition between the two, even if they were getting, the Outrunners were getting their butt kicked. I also really, really hate Odinson's uppercuts now, especially the one he did when the guy was in a snapmare position. He did it from behind and barely looked like he even did anything to him.
Yeah.
I don't know. He just, for a guy that muscular, it doesn't look like it touches and doesn't look like it hurts as much. He looks like he's too smooth at it, and it just doesn't even make any contact, really.
Yeah.
So I don't like that. That said, though, when he picked up picked up Kratos and did basically an F5 on top of the other guy.
Yeah.
I thought that was awesome, and I would like to see that happen more often. And I think it's the best I think I've seen Kratos look since the little bit I've seen of him in the NWA, physically especially. So there's potential there, and I've always been a proponent for Odinson, even though I just don't like that uppercut thing he does. But I think there's potential there for them to be something. They're going after the U.S. Tag Championships, which it's nice that somebody wants the U.S. Tag Championships. That are building up, and that's what they're trying to accomplish and what they want to be contenders for. So that also accomplishes something that maybe the championship means something. But I'm not at all looking forward to the misnamed tag team of the Immortals versus Daisy Kill and Talos. It just, for some reason, does not excite me.
That's fair. That leads us to the first promo with Sam Sam Laterna. I'll practice that. She's in the back with a returning Zicky Dice. Now, Zicky made his debut as part of the 21-man battle royal for the opportunity to challenge the winner of the national title on night one. Zicky says he's back for one reason, and really one reason only. It's the title that he felt he didn't get a good enough run with, and I kind of agree with him. I mean, he wins the title, and a month later, the whole world shuts down. And he describes that the NWA is going to have a TV title tournament, which assuming means that we no longer have a TV champion in Tom Latimer, without expressing it exactly. Basically, they just spoiled that at some point Tom Latimer is getting a shot at EC3. And I'm going to tell you it wasn't on any of the episodes of Power. So I feel like they kind of told us what the main event's going to be for Sal Win without anyone really telling us directly. But we get back to it. They're going to have 2 back-to-back 4-way elimination matches, and Zicky Dice will be part of one of them. I absolutely hate that this is how they're going to determine the new champion. But Zicky Dice back in the NWA, DK, you had previously referenced him as a fungus that was growing on you. Do you still feel that way now, seeing him return to the roster and making his intentions known about the TV title?
No, a doctor gave me an antifungal, and I've been cured of him, and it must have been pretty strong because it's still working. Not the biggest Zicky Dice fan. It was interesting. I think you helped talk about the TV title more than they did, because he was kind of back and forth. At some points, he made it sound like they were going to be wrestling for the championship, and at other points, he made it sound like they were going to be wrestling to be the top contender for the title. And so
maybe I just put too much into it.
Well, I think sometimes when you know stuff, and from being at the tapings, and you're hearing what you expect to hear. Honestly, I had to kind of go back and listen and go, wait a minute, what's he saying? But yeah, I don't know. I'm surprised I want to go back and hear what he had to say, because I'm just not a Zicky fan. Jaden, are you a Zicky fan?
He doesn't neither move the needle either way for me. I can tell you I don't like him with his darker hair. I think he had more marketable look when his hair was blonder. more blonde. For some reason, he just looks more. He looks older with his hair darker and less impressive, I guess. At least he had. He didn't have. He wasn't ever like a superstar physique, but I think he has like he's tried to get himself in better shape since the last I last really saw him. But again, he just looks older in the process. And again, I think it's his hair color. He's got some personality, I guess, and the NWA needs what they can get.
That says Zicky Dice is the Kenny Powers of the NWA. And then our pal Fuzz says, what about cornrows, Jaden? Would you like to see Zicky Dice with cornrows?
Maybe.
I mean, I think that's culture appropriation. I don't think that's allowed anymore. Next up, we get Kyle Davis with.
I always hated that. I know a lot of cultures that are wearing pants nowadays that they didn't get from their own culture.
I knew that was going to set them off.
How is copying Bo Derek cultural appropriation?
Kyle Davis is in the back with Pretty in Power. Now we have the 3 members of Pretty in Power, the only 3 we've seen in quite some time. Obviously, coming off the success of NWA 75, you've got the new women's tag team champions in Ella Envy and Kylie Ray. It's not Kylie Ray, excuse me. Kylie Page. And then we also have Kenzie Page, the women's world champion. Man, my brain got frozen there because I said Kylie Ray. Just everything froze. The Mean Girls are still intact, man. They are still very mean, and they are all champions now. Kyle Davis said that Kenzie kind of failed upward and that she lost the TV title, but that afforded her the opportunity to jump into the Burke, wins the Burke, and it goes back to back on nights and wins the title from Camille. They basically don't really say a whole lot in this promo. They don't have any announced opponents yet for Sal Win. And, I'm sure that's going to change, but the promo itself, it was very just a Mean Girls-esque. Jaden, what did you think of the promo?
All right. Kenzie needs to lose the nose rings. I don't know if she wrestles with them.
I think she does.
But it's just, I don't know. It's very distracting when she's talking because they move. And it's all I can focus on. And then if you're not focusing on that, you're focusing on Ella Envy making goofy faces and doing all kind of exaggerated movements in the background. I don't remember what they were saying, honestly. I was just watching the weird things that were catching my attention. And that's probably not a good thing because the idea is to get themselves over and get their championships over and get their opponents over. I think they didn't even really say anything about opponents. I think they just basically said nobody's in their league.
Yeah, they didn't mention any opponents yet.
All I saw is just, I don't know, it's between Kenzie's nose rings moving around and Ella Envy just making funny and entertaining but distracting body movements and facial expressions. I don't really even think I even pay attention to the promo.
DK?
Well, another old belt returned as the larger belt that they had made for Camille within the last few months is probably staying with Camille, and Ella Envy had the older belt that needs to be
repaired, reconditioned,
replated,
refurbished,
yes, and
replaced.
It's a real. I actually like the belt, but it certainly needs to be replated. I'd replate it gold this time, but that's just me. In wrestling, I always say there's kind of like 3 types of promos. There's the sell your opponent promo, the sell the match promo, and then the sell yourself promo. Which is the generic one. Ric Flair was really good at those, where he would go out and talk about all the people he's beaten, all the people, he's had to wrestle, and no one's in his league and stuff like that. And I feel like for Pretty in Power, the 4 Horsemen, of course, did a lot of them. And I felt like Pretty in Power was trying to do that type of promo, that sell themselves. It didn't work great for some of the reasons that Jaden pointed out, and then the fact that they were actually asked, well, who do you see as your top challenge? Who do you see? And they're kind of, yeah, whatever. And it's just like, well, of course, there's like 2 female tag teams. And so, and I guess we saw the birth of another one at the beginning of the show. So, yeah, I don't know. So it didn't work for me, dog. It was a little bit pitchy.
Fuzz says they do the whiny head twitch thing every time. It's little girl heel stuff that needs to grow up. You can see Kenzie starting to get it a little bit and be harder focused than falling back.
She's better on her own when doing promos than she is with the 3 of them.
So what Jaden was complaining about Ella is part of what I find charming about her. The facials, the fact that she's always emoting, that resonates with, I think, the viewer. You see it, you see how she's behaving. It kind of sticks with you. So for me, that to me is okay. But I agree, like the whole, like, you didn't really put yourself over that well, and you didn't really put anything else over well. So, like, what was the point?
What happened next?
And then our pal Luthes says, Pretty in Power reminds me of the girls who smoked Marlboro Reds in the 6th grade. Jeez.
Their voices would be a little more raspy if that were the case.
Then they would sound like the Hawaiian. Anyways, next up we get Brady Pierce versus Rolando Freeman. Now, there had been seemingly some dissension in the ranks for quite some time with the Spectaculars. Obviously, that culminated in Rolando and Brady coming to blows during the Battle Royal, Rush Freeman being eliminated, Rolando being eliminated, and then Brady Pierce eventually getting eliminated as well. This match, I agreed. I think Fuzz said it earlier, or maybe it was Matthew. I don't know. One of you guys said that this match should have been over a lot quicker. I felt so too. If you're trying to push Brady Pierce as a badass, then he shouldn't be going toe-to-toe with Rolando Freeman. I get that he beat Matt Cardona. I get that he's had a few surprise victories, but he's still 4 foot nothing, 75 pounds of nothing. I don't know. This should have been over like in a minute. If I was booking this, I'd have rather seen Rush and Pierce with Rolando on the outside. I kind of hate the fact that the fans are so much behind Rolando. I don't know. I feel like when I was there, I kind of felt like I was in this negaverse because it's like everybody there was so excited to see Rolando, and I'm over here going, God, this guy sucks.
He's the new question mark.
Yeah. Anyways, hopefully this is the conclusion. Hopefully this is done now. I mean, I want to see Pierce move into something bigger, something better. The guy has a great look. Maybe he needs some coaching on his promos. I'm not sure, but whatever's holding him back, they should solve that with. Look, we joked around about it before, but I'm serious. I think now's the time that this guy needs Pollo. This guy needs Pollo, and I think if he had Pollo in his corner, he would be the next big thing out of the NWA. Jaden, what did you think about this matchup?
Rey Mysterio was a smaller wrestler who had something special. Before Rey Mysterio, there was the 1-2-3 kid, whatever you want to call him, X-Pac. He had something special when he was the smaller guy getting the wins. Even in ECW, the Mikey Whipwreck and then later Spike Dudley had something unique and special to them. Rolando has none of it. He has abnormally long arms for such a weirdly shaped short guy. And that's not special. That just belongs in a freak show.
All right.
Please just get rid of him. And if the fans like him, then they have to stop smoking marijuana. Whatever they were sniffing, whatever glue it was, whatever it is, get over it. It's stupid, and you don't need to be singing. You don't need to be wasting your energy trying to get it over because you think it's entertaining when it's in reality an embarrassment, and that's what it is—an embarrassment.
DK.
One. I didn't mute anything. I didn't fast forward anything because I wanted to give this entire show a shot with the new era and things like that. But this match was very old era, and I was very sad while I watched it, and very frustrated that it lasted longer than 27 seconds.
That's fair.
I have no problem with midgets getting beat up, but it doesn't need to be a match. It just needs to be a slaughter.
It needs to be all the things he sends me on Instagram.
Oh,
actually,
I found out Jaden does not like the little people.
They get short with me.
I will say this. I think we're all in agreement that match went way too long. And when you have a guy like you're trying to put over Brady Pierce, I think the last thing you need to do is have somebody like Rolando get a match out of him. You know what I mean? Like there should have been 2 squashes on this show tonight, and this should have been the second one, or maybe even 3 really. But this definitely should have been a much quicker match. Next up, we have Sam Laterna in the back with Kohoa and Khalees. And Kohoa Laksamana he's not bad on the mic. I don't think he's great, but he did a good job he puts over Alonzo and Homicide, which I think that's a very special skill set. And I know it sounds stupid, but like he put over his opponents. And Jaden taught me this once before when he was coaching promos. You never just bury your opponent, because if you beat them, what does that say about you? You beat a loser. But then if you lose to them, then you got beat by a loser. So I feel like that still stands, and that's something that my pal Jaden told me a long time ago. He mentions that next week he teams with Colby Corino against Homicide and Alonzo, which that's kind of a weird pairing, considering that they were just beating the crap out of each other a few nights earlier. And then Khalees Malia pitches her 2 cents in on this match, and mentions that Ricky Morton basically just trash talked him, and you know,
he's the referee. He's going to be the special referee.
Yeah, I mean, look, this isn't going to be a good match. This is going to be more of the same with this whole Rolando bullshit. But Khalees has been the subject of Ricky's affection as of late in recent weeks. But Khalees hopes that a victory for Colby and Koa will mean a title shot at Samhain for Koa. So I really feel like this would have been should have not had the valet speak. Koa did a good enough job getting himself over, putting Colby over, putting over Alonzo and Homicide. I don't think he needed his manager to speak up on this one. DKM, what say you?
You know, it would make more sense if you'd actually ever won a match. And kind of the same thing with the TV title match at the beginning. It's like it might mean more if she had actually won something before she got to challenge for the title. Hey, you lost to Markova. We're going to put you in a title match now.
Yeah, that happens quite a bit.
Yeah, that the NWA tends to use that logic under Billy. So again, I already know that Jim Cornette would call him Koa laxative. And his promo was fine, but it's hard to get into again when he's never won. She spoke, and I thought, you know, that was not the voice I was expecting out of
her. We kind of, when we were at the anniversary show, and maybe she just had a rough night. Maybe her voice is a little rough. Maybe she sings, you know, and on church on Sundays. I don't know, but we affectionately refer to her as Dr. Girlfriend. If you watch Venture Brothers, you know what we're talking about.
Yeah, it just not the voice I was expecting. Little Rocky Horror Picture Show-ish for me. Yeah. Next, what else happened on the show?
Jaden, you have 2 cents you want to throw in on that?
No.
All right. Next up, we have Kyle Davis with the world's heavyweight champion, EC3. This is again EC3 is up at the podium again. When EC3 entered the NWA, it was a lot of the same rhetoric that Matt Cardona was using. That I'm here to save it. I'm here to do this, to do that. That the NWA is for the nostalgic wrestling alliance, and he kind of still mentions that, but then he puts over the brand. He puts over some of the former champions of yesteryear, and then the Overman acknowledges that this is a new era for the NWA. EC offers that he will defend the 10 pounds of gold all over, including Mars and the Fourth Dimension. This is evident if you look at his upcoming booking schedule. Again, he's going to be in Columbus, Ohio for his show, Exodus Pro. He's going to be in Iowa for, I can't remember that promotion's name right off the top of my head, but then he's got the 2 title defenses set, one of them in Ohio, the other one in New Jersey. He's definitely leading up to what he said he would do. And for that reason, I'm all in on him. He says he's coming for Tom Latimer next week, which sounds like they're building the blocks to a matchup at Samhain. But again, that you don't necessarily get any of that from this promo. Jaden, what did you think about EC3's first promo on Power?
They all said Spartacus, but I think more like Julius Caesar.
Okay.
I like the outfit, honestly. It's very Roman-esque, and he does have a Roman gladiator / praetor / soldier of fortune vibe to him that I kind of like. His hair does bother me because it looks like a Brillo pad, but he's got the same hair as all the guys at the gym who are wearing the little tank tops and recording their Instagram videos or the TikTok videos at the gym instead of actually working out. But you can tell EC3 does work out. And it was a good promo. He put himself over, put the championship over, put over the future of the NWA, tried to build some goodwill with the changes and making it look like it is a new era and something has changed. And, that narrative definitely needed to be changed, to quote DK. I think it added a little excitement, and I'm more happy with him being a champion just physically, just the way he looks and carries himself as a champion. I think it's an improvement of what they had in the past. DK?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of what we need as a champion right now. May not have been my first pick, but I think he's the right pick. Wasn't fond of his Greek tragedy outfit. Wasn't fond of his Mars comment or Fourth Dimension. But overall, he was saying what needed to be said as far as being the champion and going out there and defending the title. So, I'm going to give him a pass on the promo overall. Dye your hair back all dark. I don't like the blonde.
I don't think that was blonde. I think it was just the lighting.
Well, maybe Sandy Brown, but I don't think that was just the lights reflecting off of it.
Finally,
I thought it was Sandy Cheeks.
Oh, I know Twin Peaks.
I know Dusty Bottom.
I don't.
The Fixers versus the Fixers versus the Southern Six. This is your main event for the night. We have a obscure version of the Fixers. I mean, I'm so used to seeing Wrecking Ball and Jay Bradley. Well, easy for me to say. Wrecking Ball, Legursky, and Jay Bradley. So it was a little bit to my chagrin that we had Matt Vine and the Fixer taking on the Southern Six. Now, obviously, the Six don't do jobs in Nashville. Legursky and shows his power early on against Alex Taylor and a little bit on Kerry too. But then he gets halted very quickly when it's the Thrillbilly Silas Mason in the ring. And that had a very good look to it. And I'm not saying that this is the feud that we necessarily want for our pal Thrillbilly his first time out as the national champion, but I don't hate it. If this matchup leads to a title match between the two, I think I'm in on it. I think I'm okay with that. Because when you see Wrecking Ball Legursky in the ring and he can't just muscle somebody around, that's saying something. I love the energy that you get from the Southern Six. I know that they're supposed to be heels, but they're so Freebird-esque that it's hard not to just root for these guys. I enjoy the heck out of watching these guys. Kerry is such a spaz on the outside, and he's screaming and yelling, and he's doing the crotch chops and all that other stuff. It's like heel 101. Alex Taylor gets his ass kicked, but Kerry comes in and gets the victory with a well-placed knee. One thing I didn't like is that, if the Fixers are supposed to be this 4-man unit with Jay Bradley, who obviously wasn't in this match. He doesn't have his manager's license, apparently. But Wrecking Ball is partnered with Matt Vine and the Fixer. I don't understand why he gets so upset that they're doing the Fixer thing. Like they're part of the group. It's a thing now. That I don't know. To me, that just kind of I know Wrecking Ball Legursky's kind of a goofball in the NWA. Anyways, I know he's not like that elsewhere. I know that when he wrestled for Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators, he was a lot more serious. I've seen him, some of his stuff on the Northeast, he's a lot more serious, but in the NWA, he's kind of a goofball. Jaden, what did you think of this version of Wrecking Ball Legursky? What did you think of this version of the Fixers? And am I right about the Southern Six, or am I wrong?
Well, first of all, why didn't he call Patch and Vinny the Fixer? That would have made way more sense. He was an honorary member of the old school Empire. God, I'm sorry, Jay. What were you saying?
That'd be a hell of a lot goofier too.
Yeah, but he's not a member of the old school Empire, and he's Patch's cousin. So maybe he should have brought them in instead of Master Brony #1 and Random Redshirt #2. But it was obviously they were just there to lose. I don't know what would happen or why Jay Bradley wasn't part of the television taping or something like that, but it should have just been Wrecking Ball and then some other like real tag team or pseudo tag team instead of the Fixers LLC. That said, though, there is something special with 2 out of the 3 members of the Southern Six, which I still think is a stupid name. The more I hear about it, the more I hate it. But
the more I like it. But go ahead.
Maybe it's because I have an education I can count, but maybe that's why I don't like it. But
you have a New Jersey education. Don't get too excited now.
We actually have one of the highest educational standards in America, so I don't want to hear anything on that.
And yet it produced you.
Oh, wait! You guys
You're right. A super genius that I am. It did. Anyway, though, they should just call themselves the Redneck Wrecking Crew or the Fabulous Firebirds or something else besides the Sinister Six.
Southern Six.
Made sense. So, whatever. It's still stupid. But anyway, I like the team, and Wrecking Ball's a star. Kerry Morton has turned himself into a star, despite everybody else's wishes on the other end. It was obvious he was going to be something, and he finally let himself out, and he's finally doing something, and hopefully, eventually, getting it out of his father's shadow. The other guy, I don't know. He's there. He doesn't do it for me, and maybe I'm wrong, Alex Taylor or something. He's there. He needs more. Maybe it's because the other 2 overshadow him too much. That might be possible too. They may be sucking all the charisma out, and he doesn't have a chance to show it.
Let me ask you this before DKM jumps on. What were your thoughts on Buddy Roberts with the Freebirds?
Buddy Roberts, I hated the most because he always lost. As a fan, I'm like, why is he the Freebird? He's always getting his butt kicked, but I realized later that was his job. I don't feel that Alex Taylor is good enough getting his butt kicked to make me angry that he's losing. Not because I want him to win, but because he's obviously he's there and he's the one that's always getting pinned and something. He just doesn't have that ability that Buddy Roberts had, and he was nowhere near the worker Buddy Roberts was, and he definitely can't outdrink Buddy Roberts.
He could try.
He don't even look like he could throw himself through a table like Buddy Roberts did. It's just, I don't know. He's there, and again, it might just be the magnanimous nature of the other 2. It's something.
our pal Fuss says that's his problem, Jaden. Alex never steps out of his character. He's a little imp toady kid who tags along with the big bully in the Christmas story. That's a good call out, actually.
Yes. Perfect analogy. But does that make? Does that make Silas the little redheaded kid?
He's got to be, right.
Yeah. Or even the dog, the little dog that followed the big bully dog, like in the cartoons, and then eventually became the boss after a while.
That's Chester, right? That's the.
Sure.
I think that's
I don't remember.
Anyway, DK, I do want to get your take on this one before we wrap it up for the night. Thoughts on the Southern Six, thoughts on the Fixers LLC, and thoughts on this match.
Southern Six. I'm just going to focus on the Alex Taylor part. Yeah, he's in the Buddy Roberts role. But one, Buddy Roberts, in a way, was the best worker in the Freebirds. Two, Buddy Roberts was an annoying prick who you wanted to see get his ass kicked. He went out there and talked up the promos and everything like that. He was a Tully Blanchard-esque heel.
Well, people really liked him in the background, though. That's a difference.
Yes, but Buddy was somebody who the fans wanted to see get their ass kicked, and so that's why you were always happy to see him wrestle alone, because you knew he was going to get his ass kicked.
See, I slightly disagree with you. Michael Hayes is the one they wanted to see get his ass kicked. Buddy Roberts just was the one they enjoyed watching him get his ass kicked.
Well, in the Freebirds overall, I will agree with you. But Buddy on his own still gave annoying promos. I mean, what he was feuding with Iceman Parsons wasn't the Freebirds were peripheral to it. But he was the one that was feuding with Iceman Parsons, and it kind of got to the thing. You want to see Buddy get his ass kicked. Now, we were all hoping that would move on to Michael Hayes, and it didn't happen for a couple of different reasons. Mainly Michael Hayes didn't want to. But, yeah, so, Buddy would go out, and another way to compare it was Buddy was kind of in the Jerry Briscoe spot, where he would go out as the smaller guy and talk all the crap, but he had his big brother to help back him up. And that's kind of what Buddy Roberts would do. He would go out and talk all the crap, but he had his two big brothers there to back him up. So if you're going to put Taylor in the Buddy Roberts role, so to speak, then he needs to be out there. He needs to be out there, busting chops and, getting a little too big for his britches. When it comes to the Fixers, I hated the lineup. And, as soon as I saw Mask Guy out there, we all knew Mask Guy was going to be the one to take the pin. Mask Guy was the one who took the pin. That horrible drop kick where, of course, it didn't affect him. He didn't even hit him. So it was I didn't like the match overall. I didn't like Matt Vines. I can at least appreciate. The Mask dude, we knew what was going to happen. So no, overall I was underwhelmed by this thing. Ricky Morton was an annoying little, not Ricky Morton.
Kerry Morton.
Kerry Morton was an annoying little bitch, which is what he needs to be.
So
Matt Vines should change his name to Hollywood Matt Vines.
Well, they call him Matty Ice in other places. That's why he had it on his tights. I like Matty Ice for him.
I don't know. I think it's JC Ice, and that brings back a lot of flashbacks.
He had a partner named Hollywood.
Hollywood and Vine?
Yeah.
What's John Tatum doing today?
Last time I saw him, let's just say he is in less ring shape than Ricky Morton.
Going back to Matt Vine, I don't know. I'm going to reiterate, and I'm going to stick up for the Fixers LLC. I know you guys didn't care for them, but here's what I liked about them. Like you guys, the mask guy is a dead giveaway. You got a guy in a mask. You don't regularly see him. Of course, he's going to do the job ski, right? Like that's.
They could have put him in a red shirt. That would have made it even more obvious.
I don't mind that the Fixers are growing in population. Like they announced them as the Fixers,
a limited liability corporation.
Yeah, and I don't mind that.
They're franchising. That's what happens when you get a franchise. You get a crappy owner that screws it all up.
We'll see. We'll see Jay Bradley in the coming weeks, and like he was there for the tapings. They just opted to use him in a different role. But yeah, the group is growing. But I really like Matt Vine a lot. I still like Wrecking Ball Legursky a lot. I'm glad that they're out of the title picture for a while. And I wouldn't hate to see Thrillabilly and Legursky feud a little bit more down the road. And then going back to Alex Taylor, I don't know, man. I see a lot of potential in Alex Taylor, and maybe I like the gimmick. I really do like this Southern Six gimmick, so maybe I'm biased, but I just feel like there's potential and he can come through, but obviously it's still kind of early for that group. But I did like the line that Media Mike said, Buddy was scrappy do, Alex is scrappy don't. Matthew Underwood says, I have a good feeling about Alex getting over. Our pal Fuzz says season 6 is Billy letting people's real life friendships and marriages take precedence over solid booking. I'm still bitter that they squashed Mason's babyface energy. I like where Thrillabilly's at right now, but like I said, I'm biased. Matthew Underwood says the NWA needs the Southern Six faction more than babyface Mason. That payoff was always a heel turn. I don't disagree with that. Fuzz says I prefer Matt Twizzler, but that's just me. Mandy says, what's with the LLC in their name? And we just, Jade had a pretty good explanation. Like, they're franchising out maybe. Mike says Matt Vine doesn't belong with the Fixers. I agree with that as well. They need some goofy dude to be in there. Rush Freeman would be perfect for it, except for the Fixers hate Rush Freeman.
Well, adding people, and even Legursky in this thing was more serious than he had been in the fully goofy days.
Yeah.
And remember, when the Fixers first came out, they weren't goofy. And then originally even Legursky he was more dumb than goofy, not the sharpest knife in the drawer.
Yeah.
But yes, the LLC, that actually falls back to Freebird Inc., which is the way they would sign the contracts, which is the reason that you never knew which two of the three would be in the tag team match. And so that's kind of what they're doing with the Fixers. They're bringing in these other people. It's like, well, you never know who you might actually have to wrestle as the Fixers because they're a limited liability company, and that's who you're signing. That's who's signing the contract. So maybe it'll be Legursky and Bradley. Maybe it'll be Legursky and Vines, or Bradley and the masked dude, who I don't think has a name.
No, it's just the Fixer. That's his name.
And so that's the concept behind it. I don't have a problem with it. I don't have the problem with them making the Fixers serious. In fact, if they could do something like, would you rather see Legursky and Vine challenge for the U.S. tag team titles? Because that's kind of a different team. I don't know that they need 4 people, though. That's the problem that you get in there.
You don't need the Master Brony for sure.
Yeah.
I heard rumors of who it is, and I think as goofy as that person is would have actually fit better than the mask goof.
I would agree. So, I don't know. We'll see. Jay, wrap it up.
Yeah, let's wrap it up. Hey, guys, first and foremost, thanks for hanging out with us. Sorry about the camera dysfunction, and DKM just didn't want to be on camera. this is we do this every Thursday. We like talking wrestling with you guys. It's honestly the highlight of my week. Tuesdays and Thursdays are so much fun because I get to talk to you guys. We'll be back on Tuesday for the pre-party, and of course the other guys will be here Wednesday, and then we'll be back again next Thursday, hopefully with more functioning cameras. Jaden, if someone wants to follow you on the socials, how can they do that?
Good luck. I don't have them.
Oh, well then never mind.
Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators has them, though, and if you go to dogprowrestling.com, click on the links, it'll take you to all of the ways to see Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators, including the YouTube page, which has a whole bunch of really good wrestling matches and matches with Daredevil Dave Dahl on them that you can go and see, including the match with Wrecking Ball Legursky and the true Fixers, Vinny the Fixer and Patch, in a 6-man, and they're beating up Dave Dahl too, so that alone's worth seeing.
Win.
Yeah, and I would go out of the way. In fact, maybe you should put it in the chat so they can check it out real quick. But I definitely make sure you go check and like and comment, subscribe and share. Give it to your friends, give it to your enemies. Make sure they all see it, and post all the matches and tell everybody how great it is.
And if you guys would be so inclined, I'd figure that'd be a personal favor to the Alliance, because Dog Pro Wrestling has been a very supportive friend to the Alliance for quite some time. We've been covering their events going back to I think 2010, 2011, almost since the beginning, Jaden. And if you guys would check out their YouTube or their website or their social media presence, I'd consider that a favor, because like I said, they're like family to me anyways. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. You can follow me at the Alliance blog. DKM, where can they follow you at?
Go to a social media site, look for DKM FWTX. If I'm on it, that's what I'm under. The only place where I tend to talk about wrestling at all is on Twitter.
X.
So Twitter. It's not X until it stops telling me it's Twitter. And and I don't do X signs either. And yeah, that's it.
I'm just going to give it to you. Oh, sorry.
Don't annoy me. That's the number one rule.
All right, guys.
Send him cat videos and videos of midgets getting beat up, and he seems to be happy.
Jesus Christ. Well, I hated it. Okay, guys, have a good night. We'll see you next time at the matches. Thanks for joining the stream. This has been a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. We genuinely appreciate your support. Would you consider subscribing so you'll never miss a future episode? I'd also like to remind you we do a live stream every Tuesday at 5 p.m. before NWA Power. You can find us on social media at the Alliance blog. And until next time, we are the Alliance. Thank you for tuning in to the Alliance Blog Podcast, a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com, the premier source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance. Would you consider subscribing so you never miss a new episode? You can follow us on all social media at the Alliance Blog, and we stream live on Twitch, Kick, and YouTube every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 5 p.m., 6 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern at the Alliance Blog. Until then, we are the Alliance.